Good morning, everyone. Dixie from A2K. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar, Maintenance to Product Design and Manufacturing Collection. We will have Applications Engineer John Pitcher presenting for us. So we'll just go through about A2K ourselves. We're all about fostering innovation through consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping the infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education, consulting, and IT managed services. We're working with visionaries to shape the future of design, and in turn enable them through innovation to minimize risks, improve productivities, and achieve excellence. A2K Technologies is considered the business partner of choice and trusted advisor by vendors and clients. We partner with major software and hardware vendors to meet our clients' technology needs. We strive to exceed client expectations by understanding the challenges and delivering solutions through experience and innovation. We work with clients and companies of any size nationally and abroad. Over to you, John.
Well, thanks, Dexter, and hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to today's webinar. It's great to have you along. My name's John Pitcher, and we look forward today to going through some of the aspects of maintenance to the product design manufacturing collection. First up, just a couple of things about myself. So as Dexter mentioned, my name's John Pitcher, and I'll be running through this presentation with you today. Basically, at the present, I'm working as an applications engineer for A2K Technologies, mainly focused in the mechanical space. My background is in manufacturing, various aspects of general engineering and machine tool manufacture. I've worked in hydraulics and pneumatics, and sort of specialised in CNC and CAD/CAM during my trade. But yeah, for the past 14 years, I've been connected to the Autodesk mechanical line of products as a support technician and trainer for AutoCAD, Inventor, Fusion, and some of the other applications that Autodesk offer. And more recently, I've been focused on additive manufacturing, or what we commonly call 3D printing. So yeah, I spend a bit of time 3D printing some stainless steel parts and Inconel parts. A2K have quite an arrangement of componentry in that regard as well. So we've got some Mark Forge printers that we tend to work on. So I do a little bit of work on those printers as well. So just a brief summary of what we hope to cover off today. So here's a bit of an agenda. And from the outset, I want to state that this is not really so much of a presentation as far as an application is concerned, but we're going to talk a little bit about licensing and some of the other aspects of that particular part of the Autodesk solutions. So yeah, we're going to cover off a number of those topics. So I will be highlighting some of the items from the product design manufacturing collection, and particularly, I guess, compared to the old product design suite. So if you're running a product design suite, you have a different range of tools, and we'll certainly be working through some of those as well. So like I said, the first section of today's webinar is specific to Autodesk licensing. And I guess you don't need me to tell you that the world we live in is a very changing world. Certainly over the past 6 months or so, we've seen some massive changes in the way things have been going. But I guess Autodesk could see this coming for some time. Obviously, change is an inevitable thing. And Autodesk licensing has moved with the times, I suppose. And certainly there's other options available to us now that I guess we want to make sure everybody is aware of. So yeah, we'll be talking about the difference between perpetual licenses and subscription licenses. We'll be talking about just briefly some of the other licensing models with named user and some of the newer tools as well. We'll touch on those briefly as well. The second section of our webinar will be looking specifically at what's included in the product design manufacturing collection, and especially some of the tools that you're not getting if you're still using the product design suite. So I'll just be highlighting some of those tools and hopefully making you aware of what's available to you and what you can make use of within the product design manufacturing collection. And we'll wrap things up with a summary and some questions and answers. So please feel free to stay on the line, and we'll certainly be able to I'll certainly try to answer those questions for you. I don't proclaim to know everything about Autodesk licensing. It is a relatively complex thing, but certainly the answers are all out there. So we'll certainly be chasing through some of those options as well. So first up, just a couple of things about terminologies. I figured it was good to start out on the same page. So if a company or individual purchased Autodesk products or licenses prior to 2016 and continued to pay what we call their annual maintenance, those products are considered perpetual licenses. And there was always a bit of a grey area as to what was subscription and what wasn't subscription. To try and clarify this, we don't use the term subscription in relation to those older products. Effectively, the older products were called perpetual licenses, and you paid a maintenance segment annually and received the next upgrade of those particular products. So since August 2016, you've been able to purchase what we call subscription products or term-based products, often referred to as rental products, and just recently they've been called named user. So effectively, those terms are all sort of synonymous, if you like. They all sort of mean that that's the future of things, I guess. The major difference, though, between a perpetual and a subscription type product was the initial outlay. So if you bought a product design suite back in 2015, you would have paid sort of anywhere between 10 and 20K, so about $10,000, $20,000, depending on the promotions that were available at the time, to purchase that seat. And then annually you would pay a fee of so many percentage of that to keep your license active and to receive the next year's upgrade. So about April, May, Autodesk release another release of their software, and if you were paying your maintenance, you would receive the particular upgrade that was available to you there. So with the product design manufacturing collection, there is no upfront cost per se. So you're not actually paying that $10,000 to $20,000 to start using the software. What we do now is we effectively pay a subscription amount, which is a percentage value, and effectively you pay that year on year and as you need the software. The great thing about this is it's very easy to switch these on and off. So if you've got some work coming up, you might choose to take out a 3 or 12-month license of the product design manufacturing collection. At the end of that 12 months, you can not update and carry on working on other projects. And then if you've got some more design work to do or whatever, you could take out another license as time required. So yeah, the real difference, I guess, is that upfront cost that Autodesk no longer charge you a large amount of money to start a license up with them. Effectively, you're paying a rental value, and that is what you pay year on year. So yeah, Autodesk announced only not that long ago that maintenance plans will retire in May the 7th, 2021. So bear that in mind. That's quite an important date for anybody that does own a perpetual product. Effectively, those products won't be able to be upgraded. So they're effectively being removed from the market, if you like. You will still have access to use the last version of that product. So Autodesk aren't taking the license away, if you like. But effectively, the license as of May the 7th, 2021 can no longer be upgraded, if you like. So you can choose to keep that. And at that point, I guess you would have the product design suite 2021, and that would continue to work for the duration as long as you wanted to use it and you had an operating system that supported that software. So what Autodesk have done, though, is they've moved to this named user functionality where effectively the license is connected to your email address. And basically what it does when you sign into your Autodesk account as John Pitcher at A2K or whatever your email address might be, the license is connected to that email address and stays connected until such time as the contract manager changes that. So if I was going on leave for a couple of weeks and somebody else needed to use my license, I could certainly do so and make that change. So I guess the big thing is, bear that date in mind, May the 7th, 2021, there will be some major changes to all perpetual licenses. Effectively, those will retire and no longer be able to be upgraded. But over the past 4 years, Autodesk have been offering some very attractive promotions and encouraging companies to make the switch from the maintenance products or from those perpetual licenses and moving people across to subscription. Hopefully you're aware of what's been going on there, but if not, certainly get in touch with A2K, email us if you can, and we'll certainly chase that up for you and let you know what the options that are available to you are. So moving along, so here's just a bit of a timeline, I suppose, and a bit of a time frame as to how Autodesk are moving along. So basically, as of the 31st of January 2016, Autodesk stopped selling perpetual license for individual products. So you could no longer buy a perpetual license of AutoCAD or Inventor or Revit or whichever product you're using. Effectively, Autodesk stopped selling those particular products. I think knowing that the end of life was coming up for those particular products. And then on the 31st of July 2016, they stopped selling perpetual products in the suites and other areas. So if you owned a product design suite, the last version you would have been able to purchase as such was 2016. I guess if you took out a 3-year maintenance plan with that product, you would receive up to 2020 version. So, and hence why Autodesk are making those changes. So as I mentioned, the main difference between perpetual licenses and subscription licenses is that with a perpetual license, you needed to actually physically purchase the software. Like I said, for a seat of AutoCAD or Inventor or any of those products, around $5,000. If you wanted to purchase the Product Design Suite Ultimate, it was more in the league of $10,000 to $20,000. That gave you access to all of the products in the what we commonly referred to at that point as the Product Design Suite Ultimate. So now we're working with what we call the Product Design Manufacturing Collection. So effectively what we want to talk about today is mainly what's included in that you may not be aware of, but just some of the other benefits, I guess, and some of the other options that are available to us. I guess what are some of the key elements or benefits of that from a user perspective? So really, like I said, lower upfront costs. So if you're starting a new business, obviously to find a $15,000 or $20,000 fund for your license was not an easy thing, especially if you're starting out from fresh. And obviously there's a whole bunch of costs with starting up a new business with insurances and things like that. So Autodesk had gone away from that model and said, well, okay, what we'll do is offer this option of rental. So yeah, basically the low upfront cost is probably one of the key benefits of the subscription plan. We've listed a couple of others there, so we can work remotely in the cloud, and certainly the Autodesk Product Design Manufacturing Collection has a lot of tools that are available to us via the cloud. So we can render in the cloud, for instance. We can run simulations in the cloud, not to mention all the collaboration tools. So we've got the option of cloud storage. We've got a range of other tools that are available to us with regard to cloud applications, but especially to allow us to collaborate with other team members, share designs in the cloud, and get feedback from other stakeholders within our business as to how the job should move forward, for instance, or what the other options are. So effectively, with the collaboration tools in the cloud, I guess we're trying to reduce silos of information, and that's a fairly common term amongst most businesses. If you've got silos of information that don't communicate with other silos of information, you've got a very cumbersome business, where cloud collaboration is a really powerful tool for bringing all that information into a central repository and making use of it in that fashion. So yeah, there's quite a lot of tools in there, and we'll touch on some of these in a moment. and have a look through some of the other tools. The other very important one is the Autodesk Desktop app. Now, this has been around for a little while. I think it was released in 2015. But effectively, the desktop app is all your updates. So, and this has been happening for a little while, but obviously streamlining further and further down the line to the point where auto updates can go through without the user even being aware. So the auto update system is quite a powerful tool, a bit like Windows, I guess. It just helps your software remain in a up-to-date fashion, and you should have all the latest bug fixes and things like that applied to your software before you perhaps even realize that they've come around. And lastly, I guess, just the sheer number of applications that are included in the product design manufacturing collection. So there's literally hundreds and hundreds of tools that are available to us, many of which that weren't available in the product design suite. So let's flip over and take a quick look at what the tools are that you perhaps didn't have access to previously. So here's a list of the tools that are available to us in the product design manufacturing collection, compared with the product design suite, and back to if you had just a single Inventor professional license, for instance. So yeah, it's a very good comparison. Shows us some of the tools that are available to us. And what I'd like to do now, we won't be demonstrating any of these today, but just to quickly run through the tools that are available, and specifically the ones that are focused purely on the product design manufacturing collection. Like I said, Autodesk have added quite a bunch of applications to this particular area, and you'll find the same for the AEC collection. So for those of you that aren't familiar, there's effectively 3 collections available. So we've got the AEC, or Architectural Engineering Construction Collection, which includes a bunch of tools mainly for building design, but also for other forms of infrastructure. The other one is the Media and Entertainment Collection. So that includes a bunch of tools like Maya and 3D Studio Max, and a number of other tools for the media and entertainment industry. Like I said, the one that we're here to talk about predominantly today is the Product Design Manufacturing Collection. As I said, Autodesk have included a vast array of tools to give your engineers and designers the edge over their competitor. And as you can see, the tools are quite diverse. It's not just a CAD system. We're including a whole bunch of other tools in here. So it's not just for drafting or anything of that nature, but certainly for optimizing engineering functions and designing new components, etc. There's a bunch of tools. So let's dive in and just take a quick look at some of the items that are available to us. And I guess particularly notice the tools that have been added to the collection that aren't included, for instance, in the product design suite. So first up, moving down that list from the top left, we've got Nastran in CAD, which is now included in the collection. A very powerful FEA tool that does a range of different simulations and FEA calculations for us. So Nastran is a very powerful tool for doing FEA and stress analysis type simulations. The next one down there, HSM. So for those of you that aren't familiar what that is, basically it's an item or a piece of software that can turn your CAD model into CNC code. So if you're running any CNC equipment, or current punches or whatever it might be, we can use the HSM side of things to generate our tool pathing for flame cuts, laser cuts, whatever it might be, or if you're doing water jet cutting, the HSM tool. Obviously, it's a lot more than that in that, as you can see, it's copes with up to 5 axes. So not just a simple flat sheet profile cutter, if you like, but also it does full 5-axis simultaneous CNC machining. So a very, very powerful tool that's available for users to take advantage of there. We've got the factory design utilities as well listed there. So again, great for designing factory layouts or for doing product movement type simulations as well. So there's quite a powerful bunch of tools in the factory design utility for working with conveyor systems or basically any form of product movement. So we can make our factory as lean as we can, via spaghetti mapping and all sorts of things like that that certainly help us simulate the process. So numerous other CAM tools. If you move over and have a look in the top right, there is a couple of others there. So we've got the AutoCAD architecture as well. So if you'd like to sort of work with some architects, obviously we've got the option to use AutoCAD architecture, along with all the AutoCAD, the other AutoCAD verticals. So we've got mechanical and electrical included there as well. So moving over to, as I said, up in the simulation area. So up on the top right, we've got, again, a number of tools included in the collection. So just taking from the top there, so obviously linear and static stress analysis was included both in professional and the product design suite, as was frequency or modal type stress analysis and dynamic simulation. But moving down, Autodesk have included now the Nastran solver in the collection, non-linear structural analysis, also fatigue analysis, heat transfer analysis, and frequency response analysis. So some very, very powerful tools there if you're talking about simulation and other elements of running your dynamic simulations and stress analysis tools. And certainly, again, notice under the CAM heading there, we've got a number of other CAM tools that are available to us, so that have been included in the collection. So quite a lot of options there for mill turn. So if you're running a Mazak Integrex or one of those type machines, we've got the option there to generate CNC code for those. And as you can see, again, 5-axis simultaneous type operations. Moving down to the next heading there, factory planning and design, we've got, again, a range of tools, and really these tools are all orientated around factory layout and creating a more efficient factory, I guess. So we've got options like process optimization, a range of other tools there, collision detection, walkthroughs. So there's quite a bunch of options in the factory side of things in the product design manufacturing collection. Again, if you want more details on any of these tools, please feel free to get in touch with us. More than happy to talk you through or send you some information on what each of these other functionalities do. So effectively, with regard to the collection, Autodesk are offering a massive amount of product, as you can see here, that covers a range of different applications or areas of your business. So one other one that I haven't mentioned there is the Inventor Nesting capability. So yeah, we've got an option there for nesting, which is effectively for laying out flat patterns on either a laser cutter or a turret punch and using the material available. So if you've got a 24 by 1200 sheet and you want to get the most out of that sheet in the way of a flat pattern, the nesting functionality will do that for us. So yeah, very, very powerful little tool, Inventor Nesting. As you can see, there are a range of different tools that all will help us become more proficient and more effective in the way that we design and manufacture. So yeah, effectively Autodesk offers a large solution or a large cross-section of products that includes tools for design, simulation, analyzing, dimensional tolerancing, and things like that, nesting, like I said, CAM and factory layout. And again, like I mentioned before, with regard to the tools for working with the likes of a production design environment, certainly some very powerful tools for using various cloud elements in that scenario as well. So I guess the collection of products included in the product design manufacturing collection, it's a large bunch of technologies that enable us to connect on a single design platform. And again, we can automate processes and accelerate production. And we've listed a couple of headings there that we can innovate. So there's always extra time if we're using these tools for innovation to take advantage of the tools that are purpose-built to have positive impact on the way that you design and make your products. Also, it allows us to connect better, and we can run entire development process or production processes on a single platform. So again, working all within a best-in-class type tool that allows us not only to design our part, but to simulate it. So we can 3D model the part, run it through some simulations, we can generate documentation of that, and then use multi-axis CAM tools to manufacture, all within the one interface. Obviously, we can automate as well, so we can leverage data using artificial intelligence and cloud technologies. We can use things like generative design. If you've not played with those tools, they're very, very powerful tools that allow us to look at various iterations of our componentry and simulate different elements of that and run through some iterations of our component that will save material, save cost, and eventually make your company more productive. So some very, very powerful tools in that regard as well. And lastly, we're obviously able to produce things in a more efficient manner. So because we're all interconnected, we can certainly work with tools that allow us to work in a more connected fashion. Okay, so I just thought by way of summary, we might just talk a little bit or just quickly about with regard to the licensing side of things. Subscription is basically, I guess if you want to summarize it, broken down into 3 areas. So I guess the main thing is the access, the extra access that the product manager can have, or the contract manager, where effectively you can access your software 24/7 on the Autodesk account. You can assign that to another user. You can set up a range of different things that enable us to have access to cloud services 24/7 and work through the various elements of the Autodesk account. So we can assign cloud credits whenever we choose. We can do a range of different things in that regard. I guess the other thing is that we have greater control. So we've got better control over these applications. We can, at the click of a button, we can see who's using what software. We can assign it from one user to another, unassign from one user and assign it to another. Like I said, if somebody's going on leave or not going to be available in the office for a week, we can unassign their software and pass it on to another user or another contractor or whatever it might be. And finally, we've got better options in regard to insight. We've got some reporting tools in the Autodesk account that enable us to report on, like I said before, who's using what. We can see who's using which cloud credits, etc., etc. So there's a lot of tools there that enable us to go that path. So just to wrap up, as I said, Autodesk are always offering promotions to switch people from the old perpetual method. And I believe at the present there's some really good offers available. Savings of up to 25%. So if you want to take advantage of some of those, you might want to get in sooner than later. I guess as the end of life comes up for our perpetual licenses, I imagine these offers will reduce. But, so please bear that in mind. Certainly talk to our customer care team. They can certainly point you in the right direction as to what promotions are currently available within the Autodesk suite of products. So I guess that's really what I had hoped to cover today. Sorry if it was a bit deaf by PowerPoint. That wasn't the intention, but I hope the information that I've shared with you has been helpful and clarified some of the questions. But like I said, if there is other questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat box. If we aren't able to answer them online today, we'll certainly have our customer care team return your call or send you an email with that information. So Dexter and I will stay online for 10 or 15 minutes just to go through and see if there's any questions, and we'll certainly go through that particular process.
So we got a message here from Craig Palmer. So he's asking, what is the future of network and current licenses? Will they continue to be supported past 2021?
So effectively, Autodesk are not closing them down totally. There is still an option for people to use network licenses. There's just a couple of things with regard to multi-user that are changing. So effectively, Autodesk are trying to migrate everybody to the named user system, which is effectively a subscription license. However, they are aware, of course, that certain people in defence and things like that aren't able to use those tools. So there is still an option out there for people to use a completely offline system. So multi-user licenses will basically cease, but there is another option. So again, I'd encourage you to talk to your business development manager or one of our customer service team. They would certainly be able to point you in the correct direction there. So effectively, multi-user licenses as they currently are will cease, but there is other ways around it. So there is other ways of working offline effectively. There's a question there from Lemmy with regard to deploying, and yes, certainly we can still deploy. And effectively, the way the deployment works, rather than picking up a license from your server, it effectively picks up the named user. So effectively, the license is then connected to the user's email address, and effectively that license is connected via that system. So deployment is still an option, so we can still deploy licenses, but not so far as the network license system went. So, okay. So yes, John has asked the question, is there any change to network licensing for the product design manufacturing collection? Effectively, yes, in the sense that network licenses, I believe, are going to be, and again, I probably need to, look, it might be safer for me to get one of our team to talk to you on that one. Again, I'll take that up with our customer care team and let you know for sure what the answer is to that question, John.
So Lemo just sent another question. How do we transition users from a network license to a named license?
So effectively, to change users over, again, that's done via the Autodesk account. So within the software itself, there's an option up under your help menu where you can change the license type. So effectively, at the present, if you're using a multi-user license that's pointing to an internal network or a cloud network, effectively we can select an option that says change license type, and then effectively, rather than the user picking up the server license from the company's server, effectively the license would now be connected to their email address. So, so that's with the named user system. That's basically available now.
So Craig just sent another message. Are many users having proxy or other internet issues with accessing named user licenses, especially in secured environments?
So to answer that one, Craig, there is certainly proxy limitations in the sense that to ping the Autodesk cloud server that holds the license, yes. But as I mentioned before, Autodesk do have a system for working around that. So if you're working in a totally airtight scenario, or if you're working in a situation where your users are not allowed to have any connectivity to the internet, Autodesk do have another system, which is a little bit like, if for those of you that have been using Autodesk products for years and years, you may remember back in the old days, we used to get a code from the PC that effectively was actually called an activation code. So we actually generated an activation code through the Autodesk system, and that was actually then copied onto the machine physically, and that actually activated the license. So there is certainly still ways of working in secure environments. So obviously many of our clients and customers are from the defence scenarios, and yeah, certainly there are methods and ways around that. We're certainly cognizant, and Autodesk are very cognizant of that as well.
Thanks, John, and thanks again for joining us on today's webinar, everyone. If you have any more questions, you can contact us via email at info@educatechnologies.com.au. Bye for now.